Hey, well, good day to you. This is Todd. I am a regular dude walking in the Word. We are still doing things remotely here as I am away from the studio for a few days here. So we are looking at the book of Numbers here. And today it's entitled the Nazirite Vow. The Nazirite Vow is a vow that you took. It wasn't required at all. But it was a vow that you took to kind of show your seriousness with God. And but like I said, it wasn't required. But if you did take this vow, then God said, these are the things that you need to do. Okay? So with any of the vows, they weren't required. But if you did take that vow, you had to be very serious about that vow. God didn't want you just willy-nilly saying, oh, I promised to do this, and then not do it. Okay, so this is what this Nazirite vow is about. I spent a good amount of time actually talking about the Nazirite vow back when we were studying Judges, and those episodes were called Jumping into Judges. So if you look back at those episodes, episode 40 and 43 of those episodes of Judges, I spent a good amount of time on that. When we're looking at the Nazirite vow also, keep in mind that there's three people that stick out in your mind that had the Nazirite vow. Not necessarily, and this was pointed out to me back when we did Judges, that the parents kind of did this at birth, but sometimes they didn't really carry it on. And Samson would be a good example when we talked about it in Judges, that he sure didn't live out his Nazirite vow. His parents, had that Nazirite vow for him, but he didn't follow through with that. That's for sure. And then Samuel is one that took it with his parents, and then John the Baptist also. Okay, so again, all three of those guys, the parents kind of instituted it, and then it was up to the child to carry that on. And Samuel and John the Baptist are good examples of people that carried that on. But Samson is a good example of someone who kind of destroyed that vow. All right. And then also a Nazirite vow is a vow. Don't get that mixed up with being a Nazarene. Nazareth was a region of the country, and so it says, it was Jesus of Nazareth. Okay, he didn't have a Nazirite vow. He was from Nazarene, and so don't get those two mixed up. So this is taken today from Numbers chapter 6, verses 1 through 21. And I'm going to read that, and it gives all the details, if you wanted to take this Nazirite vow, of all the different things that you needed to do. Again, it wasn't required, but if you did take this vow, these were the things you did to show your seriousness with God. Okay? So, follow along with me. This is Numbers chapter 6, verses 1 through 21. Then the Lord said to Moses, give the following instructions to the people of Israel. If any of the people, either men or women, take this special vow of the Nazirite, setting themselves apart to the Lord in a special way, they must give up wine and other alcoholic drinks. They must not use vinegar made from wine or from other alcoholic drinks. They must not drink fresh grape juice, and they must not eat grapes or raisins, as long as they are bound by their Nazirite vow. They are not allowed to eat or drink anything that comes from a grapevine, even the grapes, seeds, or skins. Okay? A big thing there is you don't even mess with wine, and anything that makes the wine, you're not to mess with. The grapes or anything like that, don't mess with. Okay? Verse 5, they must never cut their hair throughout the time of their vow, for they are holy and set apart for the Lord. Until the time of their vow has been fulfilled, they must let their hair grow long, and they must not go near a dead body during the entire period of their vow to the Lord. Even if the dead person is their own father, mother, or brother or sister, they must not defile themselves, for the hair on their head is the symbol of their separation to God. This requirement applies as long as they are set apart to the Lord. Okay, two things there. The hair was important, but in the case of Samson, he kind of disregarded that. The power, but get this, the power of Samson's strength was not in his hair. It was God. It was in God, and God withdrew that power once he cut his hair. All right. So don't think magically, oh, the hair was here and now it's grown back. No, it was all up to God. And when that hair grew back, he prayed, and God allowed that strength to come back for one last suicidal act, really. Okay. The other thing here is it said not to touch a dead body. Okay. Samson is a good example of one who disregarded that when he went and touched a dead lion. He killed the lion, and then later on he touched that dead lion. And you're saying, how did he touch the dead lion? Well, there was honey in that dead lion, and he obviously had to touch that lion to get the honey out of that lion. So if you have questions about that, go back to those episodes, episode 40 and 43 of Jumping into Judges. Okay, let's keep reading here. Verse 9. If someone falls dead beside them, the hair they have dedicated will be defiled. They must wait for 7 days and then shave their heads. Then they will be cleansed from their defilement. On the 8th day they must bring 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons to the priest at the entrance of the tabernacle. The priest will offer one of the birds for a sin offering and the other for a burnt offering. In this way he will purify them from the guilt they incurred throughout the contact of the dead body. Then they must reaffirm their commitment and let their hair begin to grow again. The days of their vow that were completed before the defilement no longer count. They must rededicate themselves to the Lord as a Nazirite for a full term of their vow, and each must bring a 1-year-old lamb for the guilt offering. Verse 13. This is the ritual law for the Nazirites. At the conclusion of their time of separation as the Nazirites, they must each go to the entrance of the tabernacle and offer their sacrifice to the Lord. A 1-year-old male lamb without defect, a burnt offering, a 1-year-old female lamb without defect for a sin offering, a ram without defect for a peace offering, and a basket of bread made without yeast, cakes of choice flour mixed with olive oil and wafers spread with olive oil, along with the prescribed grain offerings and liquid offerings. The priest will present these offerings before the Lord, first the sin offering and the burnt offering, then the ram for the peace offering, along with a basket of bread made without yeast. The priest must also present the prescribed grain offering and liquid offering to the Lord. Verse 18, and then the Nazirites will shave their heads at the entrance of the tabernacle. They will take the hair that has been dedicated and place it on the fire beneath the peace offering sacrifice. After the Nazirite's head has been shaved, the priest will take each of them the boiled shoulder of the ram, and he will take from the basket a cake and a wafer made without yeast. He will put them all in the Nazirite's hands. Then the priest will lift them up as a special offering before the Lord. These are holy portions for the priest, along with the breast of the special offering and the thigh of the sacred offering that are lifted up before the Lord. After this ceremony, the Nazirites may again drink wine. This is a ritual law of the Nazirites who vow to bring these offerings to the Lord. They may also bring additional offerings if they can afford it. And they must be careful to do whatever they vowed when they set themselves apart as Nazirites. Okay, several things here with this. This vow was not required. Okay, the second thing is this. If you made this vow, you had to take it very seriously. All right, and with any of the vows that you made to God, they were to be taken seriously. It wasn't willy-nilly. I promise that, a lot of times you hear these promises. Lord, if you get me out of this jam, I promise I'll, do this for you, okay? And then you don't end up doing it, all right? God wanted nothing to do with that type of stuff. So if someone made this Nazirite vow, these were the requirements to that. And you can see there was a lot of sacrifices and stuff involved with that. So they had to think seriously about these vows before they did them. And then once they made the commitment to that, these were the things that needed to be done with that. And then there was also, it tells here there's an ending point to these vows. Once you reach the prescribed time or the time set, then you cut your hair, you put the hair, you burn the hair, really, and then you were able to eat grapes again and stuff like that. Samuel and, the guys we mentioned, Samuel, Samson, and John the Baptist, there was no ending time. It was like when they died, okay? And again, with those guys, it was something their parents kind of promised at birth, and it was up to those guys to carry that on. And Samuel and John the Baptist are a good example of guys that continued that on and fulfilled that, where Samson is a guy that did not and disregarded that. Disregarded it. He was touching dead bodies and things like that. So anyway, the big thing to take away here is this: if you make a promise to God, if you make a commitment to God, God takes it seriously. Okay, you might not be taking it seriously, but God takes it seriously. All right. So anyway, that concludes today's episode talking about the Nazirite vows. Hey, I thank you for watching. I am just a regular dude walking in the Word, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow as we continue our journey through the book of Numbers. Lord's blessing. I'll see you then.